Before we begin this night prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. It helps us share these words with more hearts that need comfort tonight. God, tonight I bring you something I've been carrying for far too long. It's not a visible wound, but it's one I feel every time I remember the words that were spoken to me, the ones that cut deeper than I ever thought words could. They were not just sentences, they were arrows, and some of them landed so deeply that even now, long after they were spoken, I can still feel their sting. Lord, you know them all. You know the exact tone they were said in, the moment they entered my heart, and the way they settled inside me like stones I could never quite put down. Sometimes they echo in my mind late at night, and I replay them over and over, wondering if I could have done something to stop them, or if I somehow deserved them. But deep down, I know that hurtful words say more about the one who speaks them than the one who hears them, and yet they still hurt. I don't want to go to sleep holding on to them anymore. I don't want to lay my head down and feel the heaviness of those phrases pressing against my chest, making it hard to breathe. I don't want to let them define me, shape me, or follow me into my dreams. Lord, I need you to step into that space inside me where those words have been living and start to heal what they broke. Take the poison out of them. Take away the way they've shaped my self-image, my confidence, my peace. Replace them with truth, the kind of truth that comes from you, the kind that isn't shaken by the opinions or careless speech of others. You've seen every time I've smiled on the outside while breaking on the inside. You've seen the moments I've been quiet, not because I had nothing to say, but because I was too afraid that my words would be twisted or dismissed. You've seen how I've sometimes doubted my own voice because someone else once made me believe it wasn't worth hearing. Lord, I don't want to live like that anymore. Tonight, I'm asking you to restore the confidence those words stole from me. Teach me to believe in my worth again, not because I've achieved something or proven myself, but because you made me with care, and that alone makes me enough. I know that healing doesn't always happen in an instant. Sometimes it's a slow, gentle work, like water smoothing the rough edges of a stone, and that's okay. I'm willing to let this be a process, as long as you are in it with me. Even if I wake up tomorrow and those words try to echo in my mind again, I want to be able to answer them with your truth. I want to be able to say, no, that's not who I am. I am loved, I am valuable, I am whole, and I want to believe it, not just say it. There are moments when I've tried to pretend those words didn't matter, but pretending is not the same as healing. So tonight, I'm not going to hide them from you. I'm bringing them into the light of your presence, knowing that nothing I carry is too small or too heavy for you. I picture myself laying them down at your feet, not neatly, but exactly as they are, messy, painful, tangled with memories. And I trust that you will take them piece by piece and turn them into something that no longer harms me. Sometimes I wonder if the people who spoke them even remember what they said. Maybe they were careless. Maybe they were angry. Maybe they were hurting themselves and didn't know how to handle it. I can't control their reasons, but I can control what I hold on to. And with your help, I can choose to let go. Not because it excuses them, but because I don't want to give those words one more night of power over me. God, help me to forgive, not just with my mind, but with my heart. Forgive the people who didn't realize what they were doing. Forgive the ones who did, and forgive myself for believing lies about who I am. Replace the lies with something unshakable. Let my mind be filled with kindness tonight, not just for others, but for myself. Let me drift to sleep, knowing that no word, no criticism, no careless remark can erase the truth. You've written about me. I imagine your voice now, steady and calm, speaking over me like waves against the shore. Every wave washes away a little more of the pain, a little more of the heaviness. You tell me that I am chosen. You tell me that I am enough. You tell me that I am safe in your hands. And as I listen, the words that hurt me lose their sharp edges. They no longer pierce. They pass through like shadows in the fading light. So tonight, I lay it all down. Every insult, every judgment, every sentence that ever made me question my worth, I release it to you. And in its place, I receive peace. Not the fragile kind that can be broken by the next unkind word, but the deep, lasting peace that comes from knowing I am held, seen, and loved beyond measure. Let me rest in that tonight, Lord. Let me breathe without the weight of those words pressing against my chest. Let me dream without the echo of those voices in my head. Let me wake tomorrow lighter, freer, and ready to live without carrying what was never mine to keep. God, tonight I come back to you with the same weight I brought last night, but a little lighter, because yesterday I dared to place some of those painful words into your hands. And now I want to go deeper. I want to open the door to rooms in my heart I've kept closed for so long because the air inside felt too heavy to breathe. Those words still linger in some of those spaces, clinging to the walls like old paint that has long faded but still leaves its mark. And I know you are not afraid to walk in there with me. You never flinch at the mess. You never look away from the pain. You step into it with such tenderness, as if each broken piece is worth your time and care, and I know it is. There's something about night that makes the echoes louder. When the world gets quiet, the memories grow bolder, and I can almost hear the voices again. Sometimes I wonder why I remember them so clearly. Every tone, every pause, every expression on their faces, and I realize it's because words have the power to shape the way we see ourselves, and once they've taken root, they can grow into beliefs, and those beliefs can change the way we live. That's why I need you here, Lord. I need you to pull out every root that doesn't belong in me. I think of the times I've been in conversations where someone else's careless comment made me shrink inside, even if no one else noticed. I've learned to hide it well, how to keep smiling while my chest tightens, how to keep talking while part of me withdraws. But you notice, you always notice, and you never let my pain go unseen. So tonight, instead of tucking it away again, I'm going to hand it to you right when it appears in my mind, even if it's one word at a time, even if it's just the tone that plays back without the sentence. I want you to be the first to hear it after me, so you can take it before it settles in again. There have been moments when I've almost believed that if I was stronger, those words wouldn't hurt me at all. But now I see that it's not about weakness or strength, it's about being human. And you made me with a heart that feels deeply, which means it can be wounded deeply, but it also means it can heal deeply. And that's what I want, Lord, not just to stop feeling the sting, but to truly heal in a way that leaves me gentler, not harder. I don't want to become numb to avoid pain. I want to remain open enough to feel love, even if it means I've been hurt before. I picture those hurtful words now as stones I've been carrying in my pockets for years. Some of them are smooth from how often I've turned them over in my hands, replaying the moment they were given to me. Others are jagged and still cut me when I touch them. But tonight, I feel you inviting me to take them out, one by one, and place them into a river that carries them away. I watch them sink into the water, disappearing into the current, and I feel my shoulders lift, my steps grow lighter. You remind me that I was never meant to carry them this far. And I think of the times I've repeated those words to myself without realizing it, where I've failed at something and immediately heard an old insult in my mind, when I've looked in the mirror and remembered someone's criticism instead of seeing the truth. I realize now that sometimes the voice I hear is no longer theirs, it's mine, echoing what they once said. And that's where I need your healing the most, Lord, not just for what others have spoken over me, but for what I've agreed to in my own heart. break that agreement tonight. Let me stop repeating their sentences as if they are my own. Replace them with something better. Let me begin to speak life over myself, even if it feels strange at first, even if my voice trembles when I say it. Lord, you've never spoken to me with cruelty. Even when you've corrected me, it's been with a tone that invites me to grow, not crush me into the ground. Your words are steady, gentle, patient. They remind me of who I truly am, not who I fear I might be. And I want those to be the loudest words in my life, not the ones that came from anger or carelessness, but the ones that come from love. Sometimes I imagine what it would be like if every hurtful phrase I've ever heard was replaced with something kind. If every criticism that lingered was answered with truth, and I realize that's exactly what you're offering me. You can take the broken pieces of my self-image and fit them back together into something whole. You can paint over the graffiti of lies with the colors of hope. You can turn the places where words once wounded me into places where your peace rests. So tonight, I choose to invite that process. I'm not going to fight it, even if it means I have to feel the pain again for a moment before it leaves. I trust you to hold me steady while you work. I trust you to be gentle with the places that still, and I trust you to finish what you start in me. Let the night be my safe space. Let my dreams be free from those echoes. Let the silence be filled with your reassurance. And when the morning comes, let me step into it without those stones in my pockets. Let me speak to myself with kindness before the world has a chance to speak at all. Let the first thought I have be one that lifts me instead of one that pulls me down. And let that be the beginning of a new way of living, not defined by the words that hurt me, but by the words that heal me. God, as I settle deeper into this night, I feel the layers of the day peeling away, and underneath them I find the words again. Some of them are faint, barely there, like distant murmurs I can almost ignore. Others are sharp, vivid, as if they were spoken just moments ago. They still hold the power to make my chest tighten, to draw me back into that moment when I first heard them. And I know you see all of this, not just the words themselves, but the way they've left their fingerprints on my heart. Tonight, I want to give you those fingerprints too, because I don't want them to remain as permanent marks. I want you to wash them away, to leave my heart as clean and whole as the day you imagined it. I've learned that the hurt doesn't just come from the meaning of the words, but from who said them and how. Sometimes it's the betrayal of hearing something cruel from someone I trusted. Sometimes it's the sting of realizing that a stranger's passing comment can still wound me deeply. And sometimes it's the fact that the words came in moments when I was already fragile, when I was already struggling to hold myself together. That's when they cut the deepest. You know that timing. You've seen the moments when the words felt like they were confirming my worst fears about myself, and you've been here through every single one. There are nights when I lie here, replaying conversations I wish I could rewrite, moments when I wish I had defended myself, or said something back, or simply walked away. But the truth is, I can't go back. I can't erase what was said. I can't stop the fact that it landed in me. But what I can do is let you into it. I can hand you the replay, the whole scene, and ask you to sit in it with me until the power it holds begins to fade. I can let you speak over it until your words are louder than theirs. Sometimes I wonder how many opportunities I've missed because I believed the wrong words. How many times I stayed silent when I could have spoken. How many doors I didn't knock on because someone once told me I wasn't enough. How many dreams I left untouched because a single sentence convinced me I wasn't capable. Lord, I don't want to live under that anymore. I don't want to keep letting the echoes of the past dictate my steps in the present. Tonight, I'm asking you to break that pattern. If there's still a chain there, I need you to cut it. I picture those hurtful words as weeds growing around my feet, tangling and slowing me down. They might not look dangerous at first glance, but they keep me from moving freely. And I see you now, kneeling beside me, pulling them out by the roots. You don't just tear the top away, you dig deep, making sure there's nothing left to grow back. And as you do, I feel the ground beneath me, clear. I can move without tripping. I can breathe without feeling bound. There's a part of me that still wrestles with the question, why did they say it? Why did they think it? Why couldn't they see me the way you do? But I'm beginning to realize that sometimes there's no satisfying answer. Sometimes the words came from their own pain, their own brokenness, their own insecurities. And while that doesn't excuse the hurt, it does remind me that their words were never the truest thing about me. The truest thing has always been what you said, and you've never called me worthless, hopeless, or unlovable. Lord, I'm learning that healing from words isn't just about forgetting them. It's about replacing them. It's about filling the spaces they once occupied with something better. And I want you to help me fill those spaces tonight. Give me new thoughts to wake up with. Give me reminders throughout the day that anchor me in truth. Let my heart be so full of your kindness that there's no room left for the old cruelty to take root again. I think of times when I've watched someone else carry the weight of words that hurt them, and I've seen how it shapes their posture, their choices, even the way they speak about themselves. I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't want to be someone who moves through life braced for the next blow. I want to walk with my head lifted, knowing I'm loved, knowing I'm seen, knowing I'm more than the sum of every insult I've ever received. Tonight, I release more of it. I imagine myself holding those words in my hands and blowing them away like dust. I watch them scatter into the night air, carried far from me, unable to settle back. I let the space they leave be filled with your peace. I let my breathing slow, my shoulders drop, my heart open again, and I whisper to you that I'm ready for more of this, more of letting go, more of trusting you to handle the things I can't. So as I close my eyes, I invite you to keep working even while I sleep. Heal the parts of me I can't reach on my own. Rewrite the sentences that have looped in my mind for years. Let my dreams be filled with images of who I truly am in your eyes. And when I wake, let me carry that truth into my day like a shield, so that when new words come, whether kind or unkind, I know which ones to hold and which ones to let fall away. Lord, there's something about the quiet of this hour that makes every memory feel closer. The day keeps me distracted, busy with things that pull my mind in 100 directions. But here, in the stillness, the voices I thought I'd silenced come back. I can almost hear their tone, see their faces, feel the weight of the moment when their words landed. And even though time has passed, part of me still reacts as if it's happening right now. My chest tightens, my stomach sinks, my mind starts replaying every angle, searching for something I missed. And yet, no matter how many times I replay it, the ending doesn't change. That's why I'm here tonight, because I can't change the past, but I can let you change how it lives inside me. I think of those moments like stones thrown into a pond. At first, there's the loud splash, the shock of hearing the words, but then the ripples spread, touching places I didn't expect. A single comment becomes a hesitation the next time I try something new. A casual insult turns into doubt when I'm about to speak. Those ripples can go on for years if I let them. But I believe you can calm the waters. You can take the movement of the pain and turn it still so that I can see my reflection clearly again without the distortion of what they said. There's a temptation to try to prove them wrong, to live in a constant state of resistance, pushing against their opinion. But I'm learning that living to disprove someone's words still gives those words power. It means I'm still letting them set the terms for my life. And I don't want that anymore. I want to live in response to your voice, not theirs. I want to let your truth be the loudest thing in my mind. Sometimes I realize the most damaging words aren't the ones I hear once. They're the ones I repeat to myself afterward. Words I've taken from someone else's mouth and made my own. And in a way, that's the hardest part to face, because I'm the one keeping them alive now. But you can help me stop. You can interrupt that pattern. You can teach me to notice when I start echoing the old hurt and gently guide me back to something better. I need you to be the voice that interrupts, the whisper that says, no, that's not who you are. Listen to me instead. I've wondered before why some words slide off so easily while others stick for years. I think it's because they touch something already tender, something already bruised. And maybe that's why this hurts so much. It's pressing on an old wound. But Lord, you're the one who heals even the oldest wounds. You know how to reach into places I've kept covered for a long time. You know how to treat not just the symptom, but the source. And I trust you to do that here. Tonight, I'm giving you the exact phrases, the exact moments, the exact looks and tones that have replayed in my mind. I won't sanitize them or pretend they didn't happen. I'll lay them bare, as raw as they felt. Because I believe you can handle the truth of my pain. And as I hand them to you, I ask that you take them into yourself, into that place where you carry every sorrow, every insult, every injustice. Let them lose their power over me as you hold them. There's a tenderness in knowing you've also been on the receiving end of cruel words. You know what it's like to be misunderstood, mocked, rejected. And because of that, I feel safe giving you this part of my story. You won't dismiss it. You won't tell me to just get over it. You'll sit with me in it until I'm ready to stand again. I can almost feel the weight of those words lifting, little by little, as if you're prying my fingers open where I've been holding on to them without realizing it. And with every release, there's a little more room for peace to settle in. I picture you writing over the old words with new ones, gentle ones, healing ones, words that restore instead of destroy. They don't just cover the old, they change the way I see myself altogether. I know there may still be moments in the future when the memory of the hurt tries to come back, but I also know I can return here to this quiet with you and lay it down again as many times as it takes. That's the beauty of your patience. It never runs out. You're willing to walk with me through the same valley as often as needed until I know the way through without fear. So tonight, as the world around me grows quieter, I let my own thoughts quiet too. I stop rehearsing the hurt. I stop looking for a better response. I stop holding on to what was said, and in its place, I take hold of the truth that I am more than the words spoken against me. I am held, I am loved, I am known, and nothing anyone has said can erase that. God, as the night wraps around me, I feel the echoes of the words that have cut the deepest, still circling in the quiet. It's strange how silence can make them sound louder, as if without the noise of the day to distract me, the old voices rise again, uninvited. They slip in between breaths, in the spaces where I thought I had peace, and they remind me of things I wish I could forget. But tonight I don't want to fight them with my own strength anymore. I want to hand them to you before I close my eyes. I want the last thing I hear before sleep not to be their cruelty, but your comfort. There's a part of me that still wonders why those words matter so much, why they hold such a grip over my heart when I know, in my mind, that they aren't the full truth of who I am. But then I realize it's because words carry weight. They shape the way we see ourselves, even when we try to brush them off. And when they're heavy with judgment, or laced with mockery, or dripping with disappointment, they can bend the way I stand in the world. That's why I need you here, now, to straighten what's been bent, to remind me how to stand tall again without carrying the load they placed on my shoulders. I think about the moments right after those hurtful things were said, the pause in the air, the way I tried to smile or act like it didn't matter or move the conversation along. But deep down, I felt the sting settle in, and I tucked it away where no one could see. I told myself I would just let it go, but instead it stayed, hidden yet still alive. And the longer it stayed, the more it whispered to me in moments of doubt, reinforcing every insecurity. Lord, I don't want to give those whispers a home anymore. I want them gone, removed, replaced with words that breathe life instead of stealing it. Sometimes the words that hurt me came from strangers, and I could almost shrug them off. But the ones that came from people I trusted, that's where the wound cut the deepest. They should have been safe places, but instead they became sharp edges I didn't see coming. And it's not just the words themselves, it's the betrayal in them, the gap between who I thought they were and what they chose to say. Those moments have made me hesitant to open up again, as if speaking honestly is an invitation for someone to wound me. But you, Lord, remind me that my voice is still worth using, that vulnerability is still worth choosing, even if I've been hurt before. Tonight, I picture myself sitting at your feet, placing each sentence that has haunted me into your hands. I'm not editing them, not softening them, not making excuses for the people who spoke them. I'm just giving them to you as they are, because you can take their sting away. You can remove the poison without erasing the memory, so I can remember what happened without reliving the pain. I want to be able to look back without feeling my chest tighten, to speak about it without my voice shaking. I know there's a temptation to wait until I feel completely ready to forgive before I let go. But maybe letting go is what makes forgiveness possible. Maybe it's not about waiting for the feelings to align, but about choosing here and now to stop holding those words like a weapon against myself. And so, in this moment, I release them into your keeping. I trust that you'll know what to do with them. I've heard it said that wounds heal faster when they're uncovered and cared for, instead of hidden away. That's what I want tonight, to let you uncover the places I've kept hidden, to let you tend to them with the gentleness only you can give. I imagine your hands cupping the fragile pieces of my heart, not in judgment, but in compassion. You aren't in a rush. You aren't frustrated with me for still feeling this pain. You meet me right where I am, and you speak words that have more power than any that were ever spoken to harm me. Your words are steady and kind. They don't demand, they don't accuse. They simply remind me that I am more than the sum of others' opinions, more than the careless things said in passing, more than the deliberate words meant to wound. You call me chosen, you call me loved, you call me whole, and as I listen, something shifts inside me, not all at once, but slowly, like ice melting in the sun. The night is deep now, and the world is still, but I feel something lighter within me. It's not that I'll never remember what was said, but I know now it won't have the same power. I can breathe without feeling the grip of those words around my lungs. I can rest without bracing for them to echo in my dreams. I can fall asleep knowing that, in your presence, nothing spoken against me can define me. So I lay down my head with a quiet heart, ready to drift into a sleep, not guarded by walls, but held by peace. And if the words try to return tomorrow, I'll meet them with the memory of this moment, with the truth that you are my refuge, my healer, and the only voice that gets the final say over my life. Lord, as I settle into this moment, I realize there are words I've carried for so long that they feel like part of me, even though they were never meant to belong. They've clung to my heart, sometimes whispering, sometimes shouting, but always there in the background. Tonight, I want to take another step toward laying them down. I don't want to go to sleep holding on to things that were never meant to define me. I want to place them into your hands, knowing you are gentle enough to hold my pain and strong enough to heal it. There have been nights when those words echoed so loudly that they became the first thing I thought about in the morning. and the last thing I heard before sleep. They weren't just sentences, they were weights. They pulled me down, made my chest feel heavy, and kept me from breathing freely. They made me question my worth, my place in the world, and even the possibility of feeling whole again. But you, Lord, have never spoken to me in that tone. Your words have never crushed me. They have lifted, restored, and reminded me that I am more than the sum of others' opinions. Sometimes the words that hurt me weren't even shouted. They were quiet, almost casual. They slipped into conversations without warning, yet they pierced just as deeply. Other times, they were deliberate, meant to strike, meant to leave a mark. And both kinds have found ways to stay with me longer than they should have. I've replayed them in my mind, analyzed them, wondered what I could have done differently to avoid them. But the truth is, no amount of rewinding can change the past, and no amount of self-blame can undo the harm. That's why I need your healing tonight, not just for the words themselves, but for the way they've shaped how I see myself. I picture those words like stones in my hands. Some are small, almost insignificant, but they still weigh something. Others are large and jagged, hard to carry without being cut. And I've been holding them for so long that my arms are tired, my grip sore. Tonight, I don't want to hold them anymore. I want to drop them at your feet, one by one, until my hands are empty and free. I trust that you can take them without giving them back, that you can replace the weight with peace. There's a temptation to think that healing means forgetting, but I don't believe that's what you're asking of me. Forgetting might erase the memory, but it wouldn't teach me what I've learned through this pain. Instead, you're teaching me how to remember without reliving. You're showing me how to hold the memory without holding the hurt. That way, I can carry wisdom instead of wound. God, you know how much I've struggled with replaying conversations in my head. You've seen me lying awake, going over every detail, every word, every expression, as if dissecting it could make it hurt less. But it never has. All it's done is keep me awake, keep me anxious, and keep me trapped in moments that are already over. So tonight, I choose to leave the replay in your hands. I don't need to analyze it anymore. I don't need to rewrite it. I just need to rest. When I think about your voice, I remember how steady it is. You don't rush me. You don't demand I be over this before I'm ready. You simply sit with me in it, letting me know I'm not alone. And in that space, I can breathe a little deeper. I can loosen my grip on the pain because I know you're holding me through it. There's something about the night that makes old wounds feel fresh again. Maybe it's the stillness. Maybe it's the quiet. But tonight I want to turn that stillness into something sacred. I want the quiet to be filled with your peace instead of my pain. I want the darkness to feel like a blanket, not a weight. And I know that happens when I let you into the deepest, most hidden places of my heart, the places I've tried to shield even from myself. You see the child in me who first learned to shrink back after hearing something unkind. You see the moments when I started to believe that maybe those words were true, and you also see the version of me that's still whole beneath it all, the part of me that no insult or criticism could touch. That's the part you're bringing back to life. So as I close my eyes tonight, I choose to imagine your words washing over me, replacing the harshness of what I've heard with the gentleness of what you speak. You say I am loved. You say I am enough. You say I am safe in your care. And slowly, those truths begin to weave themselves into the fabric of who I am, stronger than any thread of pain. The hurt doesn't vanish all at once, but it softens. It loosens its grip. And I realize that's enough for tonight, to be one step lighter, one breath freer, one thought closer to peace. And tomorrow, if the old words try to return, I will remember this moment and I will hand them over again. Not because I am weak, but because I know where my strength truly comes from. I am not defined by what has been spoken to harm me. I am defined by the one who speaks to heal me. And that truth will carry me into a night of rest, untouched by the weight of yesterday's words. Lord, as I settle deeper into this night, I feel the familiar weight of words that have marked me more than I wish they had. They don't just sit in my memory, they seep into the corners of my heart, where trust, hope, and self-worth. Sometimes they rise like sudden waves, catching me off guard, and other times they move in quietly, like a slow tide that I only notice when I am already surrounded by it. Tonight, I come to you again, because I know I can't face them alone. I need you to steady me, to remind me that these words are not stronger than your truth, that their sharp edges do not have the final say about who I am. There's a heaviness that comes from being wounded in ways others can't see. The marks aren't on my skin, so people assume they've faded. But you know the reality, how certain tones, certain phrases, certain careless remarks can still cut through the present and drag me back into moments I've tried to leave behind. I've learned to smile through them, to keep moving as if they don't matter, but inside they've sometimes left deep cracks. And yet, Lord, you are a restorer of broken places. You are the gentle hands that can mend even what I've stopped believing could be repaired. I think about how many of those words came at times when I was vulnerable, when I needed kindness the most. Maybe that's why they landed so hard, because they hit the tenderest parts of me. They weren't just disagreeing with me, they were diminishing me. They weren't just correcting, they were cutting. And it's in those moments, Lord, when the temptation to tell lies is the strongest. But your voice is never like that. You speak correction with care. You speak truth with love. You lift up even as you guide. You never crush the heart that's already fragile. Tonight, I want to bring to you the words that still echo, not so you can make me forget them, but so you can drain their power. I'm tired of giving them a place to live inside me. I'm tired of letting them dictate the way I see myself or the way I move through the world. I want to hand them over to you and trust that you can turn their poison into something that no longer harms me. There's a strange pull in revisiting the moments when I was hurt, as if going over them might offer me some kind of closure. But every time I go back, I find that the wound feels fresh again, the sting as sharp as it was before. And so, I'm learning that healing doesn't come from rehearsing the pain. It comes from resting in your presence. You are the only place where my soul doesn't feel the need to defend itself, where I can stop bracing for the next blow. Lord, there's a part of me that wonders if those who spoke those words ever think about them now. Maybe they've forgotten entirely. Maybe they don't realize the depth of their impact, or maybe they do and they simply don't care. But I'm realizing it's not my job to figure that out. My work tonight is not to chase explanations or apologies. My work is to let go of the hold those words have over me. And the only way I can do that is by placing them into your hands and letting you be the one who carries them from here. I want to be able to hear echoes of the past without flinching. I want to be able to remember moments without reliving the hurt. I want to reclaim the parts of myself that I've allowed cruel words to cage. And I know that reclaiming them means trusting you with the process, even when it's slow, even when it's not as tidy as I'd like. Healing is not linear, and I'm learning to be okay with that. Some nights the words will feel distant, barely a whisper. Other nights they'll feel loud again. But no matter how they show up, I can meet them with the truth that you are here and they cannot overshadow your presence. As I lie here, I imagine those hurtful words as small pieces of paper scattered across the floor of my mind. On each one is a phrase I've carried too long. Some of them I've read so many times, they feel memorized. But tonight, I see you walking into that space, kneeling down, and picking them up one by one. You don't rush. You don't leave any behind. And with each piece you take, I feel lighter, freer, less burdened. I watch you drop them into a fire that burns without consuming me, a fire that turns every harmful word into ash. And as the smoke rises, It carries away the weight I felt for so long. The relief is not just in knowing those words are gone. It's in knowing they have no way back in. You are my guard, my shield, my safe place. And under your care, I can finally rest without feeling like I have to stay alert for the next attack. I can breathe deeply without worrying about being wounded again. I can let my body unclench, my mind quiet, and my heart open just enough to receive your gentleness. I don't have to earn your kindness. I don't have to prove I'm worthy of love in order to be spoken to with care. You speak with care because it's who you are. And that reminder soothes something deep in me tonight. I can feel the tension in my chest easing. I can feel my thoughts slowing down. I can feel the shift from holding on to letting go. And in that shift I sense the beginning of true rest. The kind that seeps into my bones and tells me I am safe now. So here, in the stillness of this night, I release it all again. Every word that hurt, every tone that cut, every sentence that left a scar, I place them in your keeping. I don't want them back. I want only what you give in return. Peace, wholeness, and the steady truth that I am more than anything spoken against me. And with that truth wrapped around me like the softest blanket, I let my eyes close and my breathing steady, trusting that while I sleep, you will continue the quiet, unseen work of healing me from the inside out. Lord, this night feels heavier than some others, and I know it's because certain words have been replaying in my mind more than I want them to. They circle around in different tones, in the exact cadence I first heard them, sometimes softer, sometimes sharper, but always with the same effect. They make me doubt myself. I don't want to lie awake wrestling with them again. I don't want to give them the power to decide what my heart carries into tomorrow. I want to meet them here, in your presence, and let them be silenced by something far stronger, your truth and your love. I've realized that the most hurtful words are often not the loudest ones. Sometimes they're spoken quietly, almost offhand, but they sink deeper than the ones shouted. It's as if they carry a weight beyond their sound, a weight of intention, of meaning, of dismissal. They can look harmless to someone on the outside, but inside they carve deep lines. And those lines, if left alone, can turn into walls that I never intended to build. Tonight, I ask you to come and gently tear down those walls, not all at once in a way that feels overwhelming, but stone by stone, word by word, until there is room again for peace to move in. I think of the times when those words came from people I trusted, people I thought would guard my heart. There's an extra sting in that, because it makes me question not only myself, but my ability to trust others. And yet, Lord, you remind me that even when people fail, you never speak in a way that strips away my worth. You may challenge me, correct me, or lead me into change, but you never do it with cruelty. Your words always carry life. Even in moments of conviction, there's an underlying assurance that I am loved. That is what I want to anchor myself to tonight. The sound of your voice over every other. I know some of these wounds are old. They've been sitting quietly for years, woven into the background of my thoughts. I've learned to work around them, to live with them as if they're just part of me. But I don't want them to be part of me anymore. I don't want to mistake injury for identity. I don't want to keep shaping my choices around avoiding more pain. I want to be free enough to live without the constant echo of those voices in my head. And I believe you can make that freedom possible. So I picture myself laying them down, one by one, in front of you. Each word, each phrase, each sentence that still has the power to make my stomach tighten or my chest ache, I place them at your feet. I don't want to analyze them tonight. I don't want to argue with them in my mind or try to prove them wrong. I simply want to give them away because holding on has not made me stronger. It's only made me tired. God, I ask you to speak into those spaces where harmful words have lived. Replace them with something true, something kind, something steady. Let me hear you call me by name in a way that makes the lies lose their grip. Let me sense your presence so clearly that it drowns out every accusation, every insult, every careless remark that has ever clung to me. Remind me that I am more than a collection of other people's opinions. I am known by you, loved by you, and sustained by you. Sometimes I wish there were a way to erase certain memories altogether, but maybe the goal isn't erasure, it's transformation. If I can't forget them, I ask you to change the way they live in me. Let them become reminders of how far you've brought me. Let them lose their sting and instead become markers of the places where you healed what was broken. Let them no longer define me, but point instead to your goodness and faithfulness. I think about how often you described yourself as a refuge, a shelter, a strong tower. Those are not just poetic words, they're the reality of nights like this. When the world is quiet and my mind is loud, I can hide in you. I can imagine myself stepping into a place where the air is warm and safe, where no sound gets in unless you allow it. In that place, I can finally rest without fear of being pierced again. The truth is, Lord, I can't control what people say. I can't stop every unkind comment before it's spoken, but I can choose where I place those words when they come. I can choose to hand them to you instead of letting them settle in my heart. I can choose to measure them against what you've said about me. And when they don't match your voice, I can let them go without apology. Tonight I need your help to keep making that choice. Because some words are sticky. They cling no matter how many times I try to shake them off. But if I can't shake them, maybe I can surrender them. And surrender isn't weakness, it's trust. It's saying, I can't carry this without it hurting me, so I'm letting you take it instead. Lord, you know the exact moment when each of these words was spoken, the tone, the expression, the intent behind them. And you also know the truth about me that stands in direct opposition to them. You know the ways you've made me strong, the ways you've shaped my heart to care deeply, the ways you've placed resilience inside me, even when I didn't notice it. Let those truths be louder tonight. Let them be the sound I fall asleep to. As I breathe slowly now, I imagine your hand resting gently over my heart, steadying its rhythm. I imagine you leaning close enough for me to hear you say that I am safe, I am loved, I am whole. Not because someone else decided it, but because you did, and nothing anyone has ever said can undo what you have declared over me. So I let go again, even of the words I picked back up without realizing it. I let go of the need to replay them. I let go of the hope that the person who spoke them will come back and fix it. I let go of the belief that I have to carry them forever. And in their place, I take your peace, letting it fill every space that pain once occupied. I close my eyes now, not to escape the world, but to rest in the one you've promised me, a world where my worth is unshaken, where my heart is guarded, and where every word spoken against me fades into the background, unable to touch me anymore. And as I drift towards sleep, I trust that even in the silence, you are still speaking over me words of life that will carry me into tomorrow. God, tonight I come before you carrying words that I wish had never been spoken over me. They've followed me like shadows, appearing in moments I least expect when I'm brushing my teeth, walking through the grocery store, or standing in the quiet of my own kitchen. Sometimes they arrive as faint whispers. Sometimes they crash in like storms, but they always come with the same intention, to remind me of my wounds. And yet here I am, Lord, not because I want to replay them, but because I want to be free from them. I want to leave them here with you and walk away lighter than I arrived. It's strange how certain phrases can root themselves so deeply that they shape how we see ourselves. A passing comment can turn into a belief, a sarcastic remark can plant seeds of shame that grow quietly over years. Words are powerful, and when they're used carelessly, they can cut deeper than any physical wound. You know the ones I'm talking about, Lord. You were there when they were spoken, even if I didn't feel you at the time. You saw the way my heart sank, the way I swallowed back tears so no one would see. You saw how I tried to brush it off on the outside while carrying it silently on the inside. Sometimes I wonder why those voices seem louder than all the kind things I've been told. Why is it that encouragement fades so quickly, but criticism seems to echo forever? Maybe it's because my heart has been too willing to believe the bad before the good. Maybe it's because I've carried wounds from long ago that made me more sensitive to new ones. Whatever the reason, I'm asking you to help me change that tonight. I don't want the sharp words to be my reference point anymore. I want to hear your truth above everything else. Lord, you know how many nights I've lain awake replaying moments I wish I could rewrite. You know the way my mind rehearses what I should have said in defense, the way I imagine different endings to those conversations. But no matter how many times I replay them, the outcome is always the same. They hurt. They still hold power over me, and I'm tired of that power. I'm tired of giving my peace away to memories that don't deserve it. So here, in this quiet, I hand them to you. I imagine each word like a stone I've been carrying in my pockets, heavy, cold, uncomfortable. One by one, I take them out and place them in your hands. I don't want to keep them as reminders of my pain. I want them gone. I want you to throw them into the deepest part of the sea, never to be found again. And if I try to pick them back up tomorrow, please remind me of this moment. Remind me that I already gave them away. I know that healing doesn't always come in an instant. Sometimes you heal in layers, peeling back the pain slowly so I can breathe through each step. If that's the way you choose to heal me, I will trust you. But while I wait, I ask for your peace to fill the spaces that used to be occupied by hurt. I ask for your voice to become so familiar that it's the first thing I recognize and the last thing I hear before I fall asleep. God, I think about the times when I have hurt others with my words. That's a painful truth to face, but it's real. I've spoken from frustration, from my own wounds, from moments when I wasn't thinking, and just as I long to be forgiven for what was said to me, I want to repent for the words I've spoken that may still be echoing in someone else's heart. Forgive me for the times I was careless. Forgive me for speaking without love. Help me to be more like you in the way I speak, always building up, never tearing down. The more I think about it, the more I realize that holding on to hurtful words is like keeping a door open for the enemy to walk in and steal my joy. Every time I dwell on them, I invite the pain back in. But when I give them to you, I'm closing that door. I'm saying, no more. You don't get to live here. And in place of that pain, I'm choosing to believe what you say about me, that I am loved, chosen, valued, and held in the palm of your hand. I don't want to be defined by my pain. I don't want to let it be the loudest part of my story. I want to be defined by your grace, by your healing, by the way you turn ashes into beauty. I want the people who know me to see someone who is free, not someone who is still carrying the weight of words that should have been released long ago. So tonight I breathe deeply and let my shoulders relax. I imagine the weight lifting as I surrender each memory, each sentence, each tone of voice that has stayed with me for too long. And in its place, I feel warmth, your presence wrapping around me like a blanket. I let it sink in, filling the cracks that hurtful words have left behind. I let it whisper truth into the spaces where lies once lived. Lord, I thank you that you are not only my healer, but also my defender. You don't just mend my heart, you also stand between me and the things that would harm me. Tonight I picture you standing guard over my mind as I sleep, letting in only what is good, pure, and life-giving. I trust you to filter out the rest. And when morning comes, I want to wake up lighter. I want to wake up without the heaviness of words that don't belong to me. I want to step into the day carrying in only what you've spoken over me. Let that be my reality, Lord, not just tonight, but every night that follows. As I close my eyes, I let go once more. I release the tight grip I've had on my own defense. I release the idea that I can fix the hurt by replaying it. I release the belief that I am defined by what was said to me. I am not the sum of other people's words. I am the sum of your love, your truth, and your redemption. And that is enough. So I rest now, breathing in peace, breathing out pain. I rest knowing that you are here, that you are healing me in ways I can't yet see, and that tomorrow will come without the shadows of these words dictating my steps. I rest in you, Lord, and I trust you with my heart. Lord, as I sit here tonight, in the stillness, I am reminded once again how heavy words can be when they are not spoken in love. There are words that have faded from my memory completely, but then there are others that seem etched into my soul, no matter how much time has passed. Those words have become like scars I carry around with me, sometimes hidden under layers of strength, and other times so close to the surface that the slightest touch makes them ache again. And yet, I know you see them all. You see the scars I've hidden from everyone else. You see the bruises that still haven't healed, even when I thought I had moved on. And tonight, I am here again, because I want to let you do what only you can do. Turn those wounds into places of beauty and redemption. I know the world says, just forget it, just move on. But forgetting isn't so simple, is it, Lord? I can't just erase the tone of voice, the look in their eyes, the way those words landed like blows. Forgetting feels impossible because those moments changed me. They made me doubt myself, question my worth, and sometimes even wonder if I was truly seen by you. But deep down, I know that the answer to healing isn't pretending it didn't happen. The answer is bringing it to you again and again until the pain no longer controls me. So here I am, with all the memories I wish I could delete, opening my hands so you can take them. Sometimes, Lord, I replay not just what was said, but who said it. It hurts more when it comes from someone I trusted, someone I thought would protect me. The sting feels deeper because their voice carried more weight in my heart. I find myself asking why you allowed their words to land the way they did, why you didn't shield me from the hurt in the moment. But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the better question is, what will you do with this pain now? How will you take what was meant to harm me and turn it into something that shapes me into who you've called me to be? I trust that you will not waste this. I can't help but think about how easily words can shape a life. A child who is told they're loved grows up believing they have value. The person who is encouraged feels the courage to keep going. But the opposite is also true. Harsh words can make someone shrink into themselves, can convince them to stop dreaming, can make them afraid to take another step forward. Lord, I don't want to live under the shadow of words that try to limit me. I want to live under the light of your truth. And so, I'm asking you to reframe the story in my mind. When I remember those moments, let me remember not just the pain, but how you carried me through it. I know you are a God who speaks life. From the very beginning, you created with words. And even now, you are still speaking life over me. Tonight, I want to listen for that voice above all others. I want to hear you call me beloved, treasured, worthy. I want those words to echo in my soul so loudly that every other voice fades into the background. I want to carry your truth with me so closely that when lies try to enter, they find no room. There's a part of me that wants to confront the people who spoke those hurtful words, to make them understand what they did. But Lord, I know that healing isn't always about getting an apology. Sometimes the people who hurt us don't even realize the damage they've done, or they're not in a place to acknowledge it. And that's okay, because my healing isn't dependent on their recognition. My healing comes from you alone. It's not about making them pay. It's about choosing to be free. And freedom, I know, begins with forgiveness. Forgiveness, though, it's hard. It feels like letting them off the hook. It feels like saying what they did was okay. But I know that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is releasing them into your hands, so I don't have to carry the burden anymore. Forgiveness is trusting that you will deal with their hearts in the way only you can. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks my own prison door. And so, with trembling hands, I choose it tonight. Not because I feel like it, but because I want to be free. I also know that I can't just forgive once and never feel the sting again. Sometimes I have to forgive in layers, over and over, until the memory no longer has power over me. I trust that you are patient with me in that process. You are not rushing me to get over it. You are walking with me at the pace my heart can handle, and that gives me so much comfort. Lord, I ask you to replace every harmful word with something true and good. Where I was told I wasn't enough, remind me that in you I am complete. Where I was told I was too much, remind me that you made me exactly as I am, on purpose. Where I was told I would fail, remind me that you have already prepared a path for me. And where I was told I didn't matter, remind me that I am worth the life of your Son. I want to live in such a way that hurtful words no longer define me. I want to be so anchored in your love that when someone speaks something unkind, it bounces off instead of sinking in. I want to be able to love others even when they don't speak love to me. I want to be a living example of the truth that words can wound, but they can never destroy someone who is held by you. As I breathe slowly, now I imagine those words, the ones that have haunted me, turning into leaves in the wind. One by one, they lift away, carried far from me, disappearing into the horizon where I'll never see them again. In their place, I feel the steady warmth of your presence, the kind of warmth that seeps deep into my bones and tells me I am safe here. I let that warmth wrap around me, chasing away the chill of every memory that has made me shiver. Tonight, I rest in the knowledge that you are not just healing me for my sake. You are healing me so I can speak life into others. You are teaching me through this pain how powerful words can be, so I will use mine with care. You are shaping me into someone who can look another hurting soul in the eyes and say, I know it hurts, but you're going to be okay, and mean it. That is the kind of redemption only you can bring. So I lay my head down now, not as someone who is defeated by what was said, but as someone who has been restored by what you are saying. I close my eyes knowing that when I awake, I will carry less weight than I do right now. I will walk a little lighter, breathe a little deeper, and believe a little more in the truth that I am loved beyond measure. And in the quiet of this moment, I whisper one final prayer before sleep takes me. Thank you, Lord, for taking the words that hurt me and turning them into stepping stones toward healing. Thank you for never leaving me alone with my pain. Thank you for speaking life where others spoke death. I trust you with my heart, my mind, and my story. And I rest, knowing you are still at work, even now. God, tonight I come to you with the same tender ache that has been part of my heart for far too long. The ache that comes from words that were never meant to bring life, yet found their way deep inside me. Sometimes I wonder why certain phrases have clung to me so fiercely, why they echo in the quiet when I am alone, as if determined to shape who I am. But even now, in this moment, I am reminded that they do not have the final say over my life. You are the author of my story, and no sentence spoken by another human being can rewrite what you have already declared over me. It's strange how the mind works. A single careless sentence can be remembered for decades, while countless kind words can fade so quickly. I think about that often, Lord, how much weight pain can carry compared to encouragement, and it humbles me to realize just how fragile the human heart is, how easily it can be bruised. Maybe that's why you call us to guard our hearts, not in a way that shuts others out, but in a way that protects the truth you have planted there from being drowned out by lies. There are moments when I feel anger rise inside me, not just because of what was said, but because of what those words took from me. Confidence, peace, joy, things I used to carry without thinking were suddenly harder to hold on to. I felt myself shrinking, hesitating, questioning every decision because somewhere in my mind, that hurtful voice had become my own. And yet, Lord, I know that's not the voice you want guiding me. You want me to recognize it for what it is, a wound, not an identity. And wounds, no matter how deep, can heal in your hands. So tonight, I bring you every sharp memory. The first time someone made me feel small. The time I poured my heart into something only to have it torn apart by criticism. The day I was laughed at for simply being myself. Each one feels like a page in a book I wish I could burn. But you, Lord, you don't just burn the pages, you rewrite them. You take what was meant to diminish me and you make it part of my strength. You turn it into empathy, into wisdom, into a quiet resilience that cannot be faked. I've learned that healing doesn't mean I will forget. It means I will remember differently. I will be able to look back without feeling the sting, to recall the moment without reliving the pain. And I know that kind of healing can only come from you. Lord, I also think about the people who spoke those words. I wonder what wounds they were carrying. I wonder if they realized the weight their words held, or if they spoke them carelessly, unaware of the damage they could cause. It doesn't excuse what they did, but it reminds me that hurt people often hurt people. And maybe, just maybe, you want me to see them through the same lens. You see me with grace. Forgiving them doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean trusting them again in the same way. It means loosening my grip on the bitterness that tries to keep me tied to that moment. Some nights, like tonight, I still feel the pull of those old chains. I still hear the whispers that I'm not enough, or that I'm too much, or that I'll never be what I hope to be. But tonight, I am choosing to answer those whispers with your truth. When the lie says I am not enough, I will remind myself that you call me complete. When the lie says I am too much, I will remember that you made me intentionally. When the lie says I will fail, I will trust that you will use even my failures for good. God, let your words become the loudest in my life. Let them drown out the noise of past hurts. Let them become the foundation I stand on when the world tries to shake me. I don't want to spend my life replaying what was said to me in cruelty. I want to spend my life repeating what you say to me in love. And so, tonight, I place my heart in your hands. Again, not just the parts that are strong and steady, but the fragile places that still ache. Heal me where I've been broken. Mend the places that feel beyond repair. Show me that nothing is too far gone for you to restore. And as you heal me, teach me to speak life into others. Let my own words be like gentle rain on thirsty ground, not sharp stones thrown without thought. I know that the same mouth that has spoken pain can also speak healing. So Lord, heal me in such a way that I can be a source of kindness in a world that often forgets how powerful gentleness can be. And when I am tempted to repeat the cycle of hurt, stop me. Remind me of this moment, of this prayer, of this choice to let you guide my words. I rest now, Lord, not because every wound is gone, but because I know they are in your hands. I trust that even in my sleep, you are working. You are softening the sharp edges. You are quieting the echoes. and you are replacing every lie with truth. And when I wake, I will take one more step toward freedom, one more step toward being unshaken by the words of others, one more step toward living fully in the identity you have given me. Tonight, I close my eyes with peace beginning to settle where pain once lived. And that, Lord, is the start of a healing that will last. Lord, as I lie here in the quiet, I can feel the heaviness of the day fading, but the echoes of words from long ago still manage to surface. It's almost strange how they know the right moment to creep back in when the world is silent and my mind is left alone with its thoughts. I have tried to dismiss them, to pretend they hold no power, but there are nights like this when they feel sharper, more real, as if spoken only yesterday. Tonight, I want to place those words before you once again because I don't want them to have a home in me anymore. You know the ones, Lord, the sentences that pierce deeper than they should have, the comments that were delivered with a careless tone but landed in my heart like arrows. Some came from strangers whose faces I can barely recall, yet their words seem etched into my memory. Others came from people I trusted, voices I once thought would always protect me. Those words felt heavier, not just because of what they said, but because of who they came from. And yet, I know you see every angle of those moments. You know the hearts that spoke them. You know the wounds they carried, and you know the truth that can replace them. It's hard, Lord, to admit that I sometimes let those words define me. I hear them and immediately question my worth, my purpose, my very identity. It's as though they plant seeds of doubt that grow quietly in the corners of my mind until they wrap themselves around my confidence. And the thing about doubt is that it can disguise itself as truth if I let it stay too long. But I don't want that anymore. I want your truth to take root instead. Your truth tells me that I am loved, not because I've earned it, but because you chose to love me before I even existed. Your truth tells me that I am created intentionally, that nothing about me is an accident, not my personality, not my appearance, not even the way I see the world. Your truth tells me that the words of people, no matter how loud, will never outweigh the words you have spoken over me. So tonight, I ask you to sift through my heart and separate what is yours from what is not. Take the phrases that were spoken in anger, in jealousy, or in misunderstanding, and remove them from the core of who I am. I no longer want to carry them as if they are part of my identity. And in the spaces they leave behind, pour in words of life, pour in kindness, encouragement, and the unshakable certainty that I belong to you. Lord, I also want to bring to you the times I have spoken words that hurt others. It's uncomfortable to admit, but I know I have not always used my voice to build up. I have been careless. I have been impatient. I have let frustration shape my tone and pride shape my response. And perhaps some of those words have stayed with someone else in the same way hurtful words have stayed with me. Forgive me for that. Lord, heal them in ways I will never see, and teach me to speak with intention from this moment forward. When I think about it, I realize that much of the pain from hurtful words comes from feeling unseen or misunderstood. A cruel comment makes me feel invisible, as though the fullness of who I am has been reduced to a single flaw. But you see me fully. You know my motives, my struggles, my growth. You hold the entire story of my life, not just the parts that are visible to others. And because you see me completely, you love me completely, not in pieces, not with conditions, but in wholeness. That's the kind of love that heals. It doesn't just soothe the sting in the moment, it changes the way I see myself entirely. It reminds me that no human opinion, no thoughtless remark, no harsh critique can strip away the truth of who I am in you. God, help me to hold on to that truth when my mind tries to wander back to the pain. Help me to remember that I can choose which words I carry. I can choose to let go of the ones that poison my spirit and hold tightly to the ones that give me life. And when I forget, because I will forget, bring me back to this moment, this prayer, this decision to walk in healing. Some nights, healing feels slow. I wish I could wake up tomorrow and never think about these words again. But perhaps part of the process is learning to respond differently when they do it. Instead of shrinking in shame or anger, I can acknowledge them for what they are. Remnants of an old wound that no longer controls me. I can replace them right then and there with words that align with your truth. I also ask you tonight to protect my mind as I sleep. Let my dreams be free from the weight of those memories. Let rest not just restore my body, but also restore my perspective. I don't want to wake up tomorrow still carrying the heaviness of tonight. I want to wake up lighter, freer, more ready to face the day with peace instead of fear. And Lord, while you heal me, also prepare me to be a voice of healing for others. Help me to notice when someone else is carrying the invisible burden of hurtful words. Give me the courage to speak life into them, to be a reminder that they are more than the worst thing anyone has said about them. Let my voice be an instrument of kindness in a world that desperately needs it. So here I am, laying it all down before you again, every insult, every piece of criticism that was delivered without love, every misunderstanding that left me feeling small. I am setting them at your feet because I know they are safer with you than they are in my mind. You will not use them to harm me. You will use them to shape me, to strengthen me, to draw me closer to you. And when tomorrow comes, if those words try to find their way back, I will remember this night. I will remember that I chose healing. I will remember that I belong to the one whose words are always good, always true, always filled with love. Tonight, I release my grip on the past. I breathe in your peace and breathe out the weight of everything I was never meant to carry. I close my eyes knowing that you are near, that you are mending what was broken, and that nothing spoken against me will ever have the power to define me again. And as I rest, I trust you will continue this work, slowly, gently, completely, until I am free. Lord, the night feels quieter than usual, as though the world itself has slowed its breath, and in that stillness, I am more aware than ever of the voices from my past. They rise like faint echoes in a canyon, not loud enough to overwhelm me, but just strong enough to make my heart ache. Sometimes I wonder why they linger at all. So much has changed since those moments. Years have passed. I have grown. I have learned. But certain words cling like stubborn shadows. Tonight, I want to bring those shadows into your light again, because I know that no matter how many times I return to you with this burden, you never tire of lifting it from me. It's strange, Lord, how words can travel through time. A single sentence, once spoken, can outlive its moment, embedding itself in the soul of the one who heard it. I can still remember the expression on the faces of those who spoke them, the tone in their voices, the way my chest tightened before I could even form a reply. Some of those words came in anger, meant to wound. Others were spoken carelessly, with no awareness of the damage they could cause. But the result was the same. They left a mark. You know how hard I have tried to pretend they don't matter. I've told myself it's in the past, or they didn't mean it. But my heart has not always been able to keep up with my mind. There are nights, like tonight, when the hurt feels fresh, when my chest feels heavy, not because of what was said, but because of what I started to believe after hearing it. That is why I need you here with me now, to unravel the lies that wrap themselves around my identity and replace them with the truth only you can give. Your truth is different from human opinion. It doesn't shift with trends or moods or misunderstandings. It stands like an anchor in the middle of a storm, unmoved by the waves that crash against it. When you speak over me, Lord, there is no cruelty in your tone, no hidden judgment between your words. Everything you say is drenched in love. And I want those words to be the loudest in my life, not the words that cut me down, not the ones that replay in the late hours when I can't sleep, but your. So tonight, I open my hands and give them to you again. Every insult, every unfair criticism, every whispered remark that I overheard but was never meant to hear, every sentence that made me question whether I was enough, I give them all to you, knowing that you are the only one who can turn them into something that doesn't harm me anymore. Lord, I also want to release the need to prove those voices wrong. Sometimes the hurt lingers because I have been trying so hard to show them that they were mistaken, to earn a version of myself they would approve of. But that's not freedom. That's still letting their words decide the course of my life. I don't want to live for their approval anymore. I want to live in the light of your approval, which I already have, not because I've done everything right, but because I am yours. And if I am yours, then no word spoken against me can define me. No label someone else has placed on me can override the name you have given me. I am beloved. I am chosen. I am seen. I am safe in you. God, as you heal me, help me also to heal the way I think about the people who hurt me. I don't want to carry bitterness. I don't want to rehearse their words in my mind just to keep my anger alive. I want to forgive, not because what they did was okay, but because I don't want to give their words the power to shape me anymore. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to release the grip those moments have on my heart, and I know I can't do that alone. My human heart wants to hold on, but your spirit can loosen the knots. So, loosen them tonight, Lord. Untangle the threads of resentment and pain. Replace them with peace that doesn't make sense. Let me wake tomorrow without the weight of this on my chest. Let me remember that even if I hear those words again in my mind, I can look at them differently, not as truth, but as reminders of how far you've brought me. And Lord, for every wound those words have left, pour in something new. Where there was shame, pour in dignity. Where there was doubt, pour in confidence. Where there was fear, pour in courage. Where there was loneliness, pour in the deep assurance that I am never alone. As I rest tonight, guard my dreams from replaying the hurt. Instead, fill them with glimpses of the life you are calling me toward, a life where my value is rooted in you, where my voice is steady and kind, where my heart is unafraid to trust again. Let this night be a turning point. Let it be the moment when the echoes of the past finally begin to fade, replaced by the steady rhythm of your truth. I am here, Lord. My heart is open. My hands are open. My mind is ready to let go. Take every word that was never meant for me to carry and bury it so deep in your grace that it can never rise again to harm me. Let what remains be only what builds me, only what reflects the way you see me. And when the morning comes, help me to speak words that heal, not just to others, but to myself. Help me to notice when I am repeating the old voices in my head and choose, instead, to repeat your. Remind me that this is not just about healing from the past, it is about creating a future where I live in alignment with who you say I am. So tonight, Lord, I rest in that truth. I rest in the safety of your presence. I rest in the knowledge that no matter what has been said about me, nothing will ever be more powerful than what you say about me. And I will hold on to that truth, not with clenched fists, but with open hands, knowing it is secure because you hold it for me. And as I breathe in this peace, I feel the edges of my heart soften. The sharpness of those old words dulls in the glow of your kindness. Now, I can almost feel the weight lifting, not all at once, but enough to know that healing is happening, enough to believe that tomorrow it will be lighter still. Tonight is another step, tomorrow will be another, and with each one, the hold those words have over me will loosen until they are nothing but faint whispers, unable to touch the core of who I am in you. God, tonight I feel the need to slow down even more than usual, to linger in this quiet space with you before sleep takes me. There is something about the hours before rest that makes the heart more honest, more willing to speak the truths it tries to hide during the day. And the truth, Lord, is that I still feel the sting of words I thought I had already surrendered to you. It is humbling to admit that healing is not always a one-time thing, that some wounds require your touch again and again until they finally close. But perhaps that is why you meet me here so faithfully, because you know I will need to return. I remember the first time I realized that words could hurt more deeply than actions. Actions can be seen, explained, sometimes even undone. But words, they have a way of embedding themselves in the deepest parts of us, out of sight, yet never truly out of mind. Some of the words I carry were like sudden storms, coming without warning, leaving destruction in their wake. Others were small drops, falling over time, wearing away at my confidence, until I barely recognized my own voice. You see it all, Lord. You know how some of those words became the background noise of my life, playing quietly but constantly in my thoughts. They have shaped the way I see myself, the way I expect others to see me, even the way I prepare for tomorrow. And yet in your presence, that background noise begins to fade. It doesn't vanish all at once, but it becomes quieter, less convincing, as I hear something louder, your voice. Your voice is never rushed, never careless. You don't speak just to fill the silence. Every word from you carries the weight of love and the certainty of truth. In these still moments, I want to tune my heart to hear you more clearly. I want to let your words rewrite the story that others tried to tell about me. Lord, I confess that sometimes I've repeated those hurtful words to myself without realizing it. They became habits in my thinking, phrases I used to explain my failures, excuses I gave for why I didn't try, limits I accepted without question. Tonight I ask you to interrupt those patterns. Let there be a pause in my thoughts where your spirit can speak something different, something better. I also bring to you the fear that those words will be spoken again. There is a part of me that still braces for impact, expecting to hear criticism, expecting to be misunderstood, expecting to be reduced to something smaller than who I am in you. That fear keeps me guarded, and while it might protect me from some pain, it also keeps me from receiving the love and encouragement you want to send through others. Heal that fear, Lord. Let me live with my heart open, trusting that even if someone wounds me again, you will be there to heal me, just as you always have. Lord, I think about the people who spoke those words, their faces, their tone, their own brokenness that might have spilled into me without them even realizing it. I don't want to carry their pain as my own. I don't want to keep replaying their voices in my head as if they are the authority on who I am. You alone hold that authority, and you have already called me worthy, loved, and enough. Help me to see them through your eyes, not as the source of my identity, but as people who, like me, need grace. If they knew how their words landed, perhaps they would wish to take them back. And if they don't, Lord, I trust you to handle that. I release my need for them to understand, for them to apologize, for them to fix what they broke. My healing is not in their hands, it's in you. So here I am again, Lord, opening the places that still ache. Pour over them like a gentle stream, washing away the dust of old wounds. Let your spirit move through the hidden corners of my heart, untangling the memories, removing the lies, and planting seeds of truth in their place. I may not see the growth overnight, but I will trust that it is happening, because I know that nothing planted by you is ever wasted. I also ask you to help me guard my own words. Sometimes, without meaning to, I have spoken in ways that might have left marks on someone else's heart. Teach me to speak slowly, to choose words that heal rather than harm, to reflect your love in the way I talk to others and to myself. Let the kindness I long to receive be the kindness I give. As the night deepens, I feel my body beginning to relax, but my spirit still leans toward you, listening for the reassurance that only you can give. And in that quiet listening, I sense you reminding me that my value is not fragile. It cannot be stolen by an insult. It cannot be erased by an opinion, and it cannot be lessened by misunderstanding. It is fixed in place because it is fixed in you. Lord, thank you for staying with me in these moments. Thank you for not rushing me to get over it or to pretend I am unshaken. Thank you for letting me be honest about the pain without fearing that you will turn away. This is the safety I need, the kind that allows me to be vulnerable and still be fully loved. So, I will rest tonight with that safety wrapped around me like a blanket. I will let go of the words that never belonged to me in the first place. I will choose to believe that even if I hear them again in memory, they will no longer have the same power because I will be hearing them through the filter of your truth. And tomorrow, when I wake, I will step into the day with a little less weight on my shoulders, a little more light in my spirit, and a lot more trust in the one who heals me completely. And as I drift towards sleep, Lord, keep speaking over me. Let my last thoughts tonight be filled with the sound of your voice, reminding me who I am. Not who others have said I am, not who fear has told me I am, but who I truly am in you. This is where I will rest now, in this truth, ready for whatever tomorrow brings, because I know I am already held, already loved, already safe. God, as I return to you again tonight, I realize how this journey of healing is not a straight path. Some days I feel light, as if the words that once wounded me have dissolved completely, leaving no trace. Other days, like today, they resurface, maybe not with the same sharpness, but still enough to remind me they were once part of my story. I am learning that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means those memories lose their power to define me. And that, Lord, is what I am asking for again tonight. You know the way these words echo at the most unexpected times. Sometimes it's in the middle of a quiet moment when I'm alone. Other times in a crowd when someone's laughter or tone of voice triggers something buried deep inside me. I can't always control when those memories appear, but I can choose what to do when they do. Tonight, I choose to bring them to you. I will not let them fester in the corners of my mind where they can grow into bitterness. I will lay them out before you, even if they are old, even if I have prayed over them before. Lord, I think of the words that came dressed as truth, but were really laced with judgment. The words that claimed to be helpful, but carried more harm than care. The words spoken in anger that perhaps weren't even meant, yet once they were released, they found a place to lodge inside me. I have carried them like invisible stones in my pockets, heavy but unseen. And while others may have forgotten what they said, I have felt their weight every single day. But here, in this stillness, I can feel those stones loosening. One by one, I release them into your hands. I don't have to hold them, and I don't have to throw them back in anger. I can just let them go. And as I do, I feel the lightness you promised, the lightness that comes from trusting you to carry what I cannot. Lord, I also bring you the weariness that comes from pretending words don't hurt. So many times, I have smiled through the sting, laughed it off, told myself I was being too sensitive. But deep down, I know that minimizing pain doesn't make it disappear. It just hides it until it has a chance to grow. You never told me I had to pretend. In fact, you invite me to be real, to be honest, to bring the full weight of my pain to you without shame. And so, here I am, letting the truth spill out freely. I want to live free from the grip of those words, Lord. I want to wake in the morning without the shadow of yesterday's conversations following me into the day. I want to meet people with openness, not guardedness, and to believe that not every word spoken to me carries harm. I want to believe that love, encouragement, and blessing can be trusted, even if in the past I have been disappointed. And so I ask you, heal the reflex in me that prepares for rejection before it even comes. Heal the part of me that flinches at kindness, wondering when it will turn into something else. Heal the deep-rooted belief that somehow, if hurtful words have been spoken before, they will inevitably come again. I know that life will not be free of criticism or misunderstanding, but I also know that you can make me strong enough to meet those moments without being crushed by them. God, I also bring to you my own voice, the words I speak to myself in the privacy of my thoughts. Sometimes I've been my own harshest critic, repeating the same phrases others have said, almost as if agreeing with them will make them hurt less. But all it does is reinforce the wound. Tonight, I choose to speak differently. I choose to let my voice echo yours. I choose to tell myself that I am loved, that I am capable, that I am worth more than the careless words of others. And I pray, Lord, that when I am tempted to measure myself against those old labels, you will remind me of the names you have given me: beloved, chosen, redeemed, precious. These are not just words, they are truths that hold me steady when everything else feels uncertain. Tonight, as I breathe slowly and let the day's noise fade, I imagine you taking every hurtful word ever spoken to me and covering it with something better. Where there was criticism, you place encouragement. Where there was mockery, you speak dignity. Where there was indifference, you pour out love. And as you do, I feel my heart becoming softer, not harder, because of what I've endured. That in itself is a miracle, that pain could lead to compassion instead of bitterness. Lord, I thank you for staying close through this process. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's the quiet repetition of trust, night after night, until one day I realize the burden is gone. If tonight is one of those quiet nights, I welcome it. I know you are working even when I can't feel the progress. I know you are mending what no one else can see. And so I will rest now, not because all the hurt is gone, but because I am no longer carrying it alone. I am placing it fully into your care, confident that you will continue the work you have begun. And when tomorrow comes, I will rise with a little more courage, a little more hope, and a little more belief that words no longer have the power to define me. Only you do. As this thought settles in me, I feel peace beginning to spread like a soft blanket, wrapping around me, quieting the last restless parts of my mind. And though I know there is still more you want to heal, I am ready to sleep, trusting that when I wake, you will still be here, ready to walk with me into the next part of this journey. Lord, as I settle into this quiet hour again, I realize how each night has become a small step in a longer journey, one that is slowly loosening the grip of the words that once pierced me so deeply. Tonight is no different. The room is dim, the air still, and the world outside has hushed to a near silence, leaving me alone with my thoughts and thankfully with you. I can feel the day finally letting go of me, like a hand unclenching from around my heart. But before I surrender to sleep, I want to meet you here in this space, bringing what still weighs on me into your life. Some wounds from words are sharp, Lord, quick and sudden, like an unexpected cut. Others are slow, quiet, and corrosive, eating away at self-worth over years until the damage feels like part of who I am. I've carried both kinds, and though I've given them to you before, I know that healing sometimes requires returning again and again, not because you need the reminder, but because I need to remember I am safe to release them. There were moments today when I heard echoes of those old voices, not always from the people who first spoke them, but in new situations where similar tones, glances, or phrases made my heart tighten. It's strange how the body remembers even when the mind tries to move on. My pulse quickens, my shoulders tense, and I hear those words, sometimes word for word, other times in an unspoken feeling that says, "You are less than, You are not enough. But Lord, I don't want those echoes to be the soundtrack of my life anymore. I want them replaced, not simply muted, but overwritten with truth that heals instead of harms. I want to wake each day, not with a residue of cruelty lingering in my thoughts, but with a fresh awareness that I am held, cherished, and known by you. And so, tonight, I'm laying them out again. The mocking laughter that followed my mistakes. The whispered gossip I wasn't meant to hear, but somehow did. The heavy sighs of disappointment from people I longed to please. Even the absence of words. The silence that spoke rejection louder than speech ever could. These moments have stayed with me like ghosts, haunting the edges of my self-esteem. That they are not greater than your voice. Lord, I ask you to meet those moments head-on. When my mind replays the sharp remark, replace it with your gentle affirmation. When I recall the exaggerated tone that made me feel small, bring to mind instead the warmth of your patience. When the memory of a cold dismissal rises, unbidden, flood me with the truth that you never dismiss me, never push me away. Let my inner landscape be reshaped, not by the harsh architecture of human cruelty, but by the steady building of your love. I also bring to you the way these words have shaped how I see myself. Sometimes I've worn them like a name tag, accepting them as labels that explain who I am. Too much, not enough, difficult, weak. I've repeated them to myself in quiet moments, reinforcing their hold without realizing I was doing it. But tonight, I refuse to keep wearing names you never gave me. You call me beloved. You call me yours. You call me chosen. You call me created with purpose. These names are not written in ink that can fade. They are etched into my being by the one who formed me. And if I let them sink deeper than the lies, they will heal the fractures those lies left behind. Lord, help me to trust that I can be soft and still be strong, that I can be kind without being taken advantage of, that I can speak truth without fear of retaliation, that I can love freely without constantly bracing for the sting of betrayal. These are the freedoms I long for, not the absence of hurt in this life, but the presence of such deep-rooted peace that hurt cannot destroy me. As I breathe in this quiet, I think of the people whose words have shaped me in better ways, those who have spoken life, encouragement, and hope into me. Their words are also part of my story, though sometimes I have allowed the painful ones to overshadow them. Tonight, I want to hold on to those good voices, to let them be the ones that echo loudest. The teacher who believed in me, the friend who saw the good when I couldn't, the stranger who offered kindness with nothing to gain. These moments are not accidents. They are reminders that not all words wound, some words restore. God, I pray that as you heal me, you would also make me a source of such words for others, that I would be mindful of the power my own speech carries, that I would never underestimate how much a kind sentence can shift someone's day or life, that I would choose to build rather than break, to mend rather than mock, to bless rather than belittle. And yet, I know I am human, and there may be times when my words fail, when they land in ways I did not intend. For those moments, I ask you to give me the humility to seek forgiveness and the courage to repair what I can. I don't want to leave behind wounds like the ones I've carried. Tonight, I surrender the pressure to get over it on a timeline that pleases others. Healing takes the time it takes, and you are not impatient with me. You walk beside me through every repetition, every release, every moment I bring the same hurt back to you. You are not weary of my prayers, even when they sound the same, because you see the small shifts in my heart, the light slowly returning, the fear loosening, the joy finding its way back in. So I will not rush this. I will let each night be its own small act of laying down the burden, trusting that the day will come when I realize I haven't thought about those words in a long time. And when that day comes, Lord, I will know it was your steady hand, not my own strength, that carried me there. As I prepare to sleep, I imagine my mind like a room being tidied, dust swept away, windows open to let in fresh air, the clutter of old conversations cleared. I see you placing a soft blanket over me, not just to keep me warm, but as a sign of covering and protection. The voices of the past may still try to knock at the door, but they no longer have a key. You are the one who guards this space now. And so, I rest, not because I have erased the pain completely, but because I know I am no longer defined by it. Not because I have silenced every echo, but because I have tuned my ear to a better voice, your voice. The one that calls me forward, that calls me healed, that calls me home. And as that voice settles deep into my spirit, I feel the gentle pull of sleep drawing near. I will let it take me, knowing that even in my dreams, you are near, still speaking life, still mending the places that need your. And when morning comes, I will wake with a little more light, ready to walk another step into the freedom you are giving me. Lord, as I return to you tonight, I notice how familiar this place of quiet has become. Each evening, I find myself here again, not by habit alone, but because my heart knows this is where it is safe to unravel. This is the space where I can finally stop pretending I am unaffected. Here with you, there is no pressure to be over it already, no expectation to smile through the sting, no need to hide the tenderness that still aches when certain words come back to mind. Well, I've lived enough life to know that some wounds do not heal in a straight line. They pulse and fade again, sometimes unexpectedly, and the timing is rarely convenient. I might go weeks without thinking about what was said to me, only to have it rush back in an instant, triggered by a tone, a look, a phrase so ordinary that it catches me off guard. And when it happens, my chest tightens, my thoughts spin, and the weight of those old syllables presses down like they never left. But they did leave, Lord, or at least they lost their power to define me the moment you called me yours. And so each time they try to return, I will keep bringing them back here, into this light where lies cannot live. Tonight is one of those times. There were moments today when criticism, whether careless or deliberate, found its way to me. Some of it came in voices from the past, still echoing. Some of it came fresh, from lips that probably will never know how deeply they cut. But I felt it. It brushed against the tender places I've been asking you to heal. And for a moment, I wondered if the progress I've made was even real. That's the tricky thing about wounds. They can make you question whether you've moved forward at all. So here I am again, asking you to lay your hands over those places, to remind me that healing is not erased by a moment of pain, that being heard again does not undo the work you've already done, that I am not back at the beginning just because the sting still surprises me. God, I am learning that forgiveness is not a single door we walk through and leave behind. It's a path we keep choosing, step after step, and sometimes, when the hurt is deep, we have to choose it every day. Tonight, I choose it again. Not because I feel like it, not because the people who hurt me have earned it, but because I trust that letting go is the only way to keep my heart soft enough to love. You know how my mind wants to replay the conversations, to examine every word and tone until the wound feels justified. You know how my heart wants to gather proof of my pain, as if collecting evidence will somehow make it easier to carry. But you have shown me that these things are heavy, and they take up the space where peace is meant to live. So I hand them over to you again, the replay, the proof, the imagined comebacks that I will never say out loud. I give you all of it, because you know what to do with it, far better than I do. And while I'm here, Lord, I want to bring you something else. I want to give you the fear that my voice doesn't matter anymore, that after hearing enough harsh words, I've started to believe my own don't hold value. I've hesitated to speak in rooms where I used to feel confident. I've second-guessed messages I've written, wondering if they would be misunderstood. I've bitten my tongue not out of wisdom, but out of insecurity. This is not who you made me to be, and I don't want to stay in this place. Remind me, Lord, that my voice was never meant to please everyone. It was meant to reflect truth and kindness, even if not everyone receives it. Give me the courage to speak when I'm called to speak, and the discernment to stay silent when silence is holy, not when it is fear. I also want to thank you for the way you've been softening the bitterness in me. There was a time when I thought the only way to protect myself was to close my heart and let the cold set in. But that cold was heavy, and it made me lonely, even in crowded rooms. Now, little by little, you've been warming those frozen places. Sometimes it feels strange to hope again, to believe that not every person is out to wound me, but I want to lean into that hope instead of shrinking from it. Lord, I think about the words that have brought life to me, the ones that arrived like a gentle rain after a long drought, the unexpected encouragement from a friend, the quiet, "I'm proud of you," from someone I respect, the way a stranger's kindness lingered with me for days. These moments are proof that words can heal, that not all speech is dangerous, that love can be carried on the simplest syllables. Let these memories take root deeper than the memories of harm. Let them grow into a forest so thick with goodness that the weeds of cruelty cannot take over again. As I lie here, I realize that part of the healing you're giving me is not just about recovering from the past, it's about preparing me for the future. You are teaching me how to respond differently when new words come that have the potential to wound. You are giving me tools, the ability to pause before reacting, the grace to assume the best when possible, and the wisdom to walk away when staying would only cause harm. And perhaps the most important thing you're teaching me is that my worth is not up for negotiation. No compliment can add to it, and no insult can take from it. It is set unshakable because it is rooted in you. That means the harshest words can sting, but they cannot truly stick, not when they have to pass through the truth of who I am in you. So tonight, as I breathe slowly and feel the weight of the blankets settle over me, I ask for one more thing. Wrap me in your presence in such a way that even my dreams are safe from the intrusion of hurtful voices. Let this night be a sanctuary where nothing unkind is allowed in. Fill it with peace, so complete that when I wake, I feel lighter than when I closed my eyes. And tomorrow, when I hear voices, whether in my head or in the world, that try to tell me I am less, remind me to smile softly and remember those are not my names, and they never were. I will walk forward with the words you have spoken over me instead. Loved, chosen, whole. Tonight I rest in that truth, knowing you are still working in the quiet, still mending the places no one else sees, and I will let that be enough. God, tonight I bring you a familiar ache. It is the quiet heaviness that comes when the day slows down and I am left alone with my thoughts. I have moved through the hours, done the tasks, spoken to people, smiled when expected. But now, here, in this stillness, there is no mask. The words that hurt me have followed me into the night again. They never come loudly. They arrive like a whisper, catching me off guard, reminding me of moments I wish I could erase. It is strange how easily my mind can recall them. I forget shopping lists and important dates. But the sentences that cut deep seem to live in perfect clarity, ready to replay at the smallest nudge. I remember the exact tone, the way the air felt afterward, the silence that followed. I have tried to tell myself they don't matter anymore, but some part of me still believes them enough to let them sting. So I am here, Lord, not pretending to be unaffected. I am not here to convince you that I am stronger than I feel. I am here because I trust you with my weakness, because I know you see the wound under all the layers I have built to protect it. You see where the tear is still open, where the tenderness remains, and you do not shame me for it. You do not tell me I should be over it by now. You simply meet me here in this exact place, and you offer healing again. I am learning that your kind of healing is not always instant. Sometimes you restore in layers, pulling back the pain slowly so that I can learn to walk without it. Some nights, the progress feels obvious. I can think of the hurt and not feel it so sharply. Other nights, like this one, I need to hand it over again because I am tempted to hold on to it as proof of what I have endured. But you are teaching me that I don't need proof to validate my pain. You saw it all when it happened, and you carry the memory for me so I don't have to keep holding it like a badge. Tonight, I want to speak to the part of me that still believes the lie hidden in those hurtful words. The lie that I am not enough. The lie that I am not enough. The lie that my efforts will never be good enough. The lie that I am defined by my mistakes, or that I am too much for people to handle. Lord, you have never spoken those things over me. Your words have always been life-giving. You call me loved, chosen, worthy, not because of what I do, but because of who you are. So I ask you to help me filter every voice through that truth. If it doesn't sound like love, if it doesn't sound like grace, if it doesn't sound like you, help me to let it go. I also bring you the fear that those words are planted. Sometimes I don't just fear hearing them again. I fear putting myself in situations where I could be hurt at all. I have avoided opportunities, relationships, and conversations because I am afraid of feeling that same sharpness. And while I understand the need for healthy boundaries, I don't want fear to be the architect of my life. I want love to be the builder. I want wisdom to guide me, not avoidance. Lord, would you replace the reflex to withdraw with the courage to engage again? Would you remind me that not every person is the one who hurt me, and that not every interaction will end in pain? Let my heart remain open enough to give and receive kindness, even if it means I will sometimes be misunderstood. Teach me to see each moment as new, not as a continuation of the hurt from before. There is something else. Lord, I realize that in holding on to the memory of these words, I have sometimes rehearsed responses in my mind, things I would say if I could go back, things that might make the person understand how much they hurt me. But I know that those imaginary conversations do not bring peace. They only keep me tethered to the moment of wounding. I don't want to keep rehearsing pain. I want to release it. So tonight, I am choosing to lay down my need for the perfect comeback. I am choosing to let you be the one who makes things right, even if I never see how you do it. Help me to trust that my healing is not dependent on an apology I may never receive. Help me to believe that closure does not have to come from them. It can come from you. When I feel the urge to pick up the hurt again, remind me of the freedom that comes from leaving it in your hands. And Lord, I want to thank you. Even in the middle of this process, you have given me glimpses of what life feels like when the weight is lighter. You have surrounded me with moments of unexpected beauty, an encouraging message from a friend, the laughter of someone I love, a quiet sunset that made me stop and breathe. These small mercies are not small at all. They are proof that joy can coexist with healing, that my life is not defined by the worst things someone said to me. As I lie here now, I can feel the quiet beginning to settle in my body. My breath is slowing. My thoughts are softer. I imagine your hands over my heart, steady and sure, sealing up the places that are still raw. I picture the words that hurt me fading into the background, their sharp edges blunted, their volume turned down until they are nothing more than distant echoes. And over those echoes, I hear something else, your voice speaking peace over me. reminding me of who I am and whose I am. Tonight, I will let those words be the ones that stay, the ones that tell me I am beloved, that I am held, that I am safe, to rest. And as I drift towards sleep, I will trust that you are still working, even in the hours when I am unaware. You are rewriting the story in my heart, replacing the narrative of hurt with one of healing. When morning comes, I may not feel entirely different, but I will be a little lighter, and little by little, night by night, I believe you will finish what you've started. For now, that is enough.